Hello there, everyone, and welcome into the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. This is week 3 of Trade Talks. My name is Brian, and I'm joined by Evan and Ryan, and today we'll be rolling through some of our favorite trade targets. We'll provide some trade grades on some real trades, and we'll highlight some other players of interest in week 3 of your fantasy hockey season. Here we go.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are in week 3 of Trade Talks. It's going. We're trading away everything at the moment. Evan, Brian, how are we doing today?
Can't complain. It's another week. We're fired up. I don't know, Evan, what about you?
Great. We just need the Minnesota Wild to get going in this game. They need to wake up, and we'll be all right.
Score an even strength goal would be nice.
And maybe some of the top 6 players getting in on some action instead of just Brendan Dillon and Paul Cotter. That would be nice.
Some real studs out there.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we'll bring you up to date with some news tonight, and then we'll get into some of our favorite trade targets, and then we'll be getting into loads of actual trades that went down from some Apples and Ginos Discord members, and we'll be providing our trade grades. And then we're bringing back the most requested segment of the week, the Fantasy Hockey Court. We're bringing someone else to the stand. Last week it was Matvey Michkov. And turns out he was not guilty, and he actually has 2 points since he was brought to court. So look at that. But yeah, let's catch you up on.
We'll do for you, you know.
Yeah, right. Correctional system for Michkov. We'll bring you up on some news first, some newsies. So Aiden Hill unfortunately went down mid-game and is week to week, but that is a silver lining for us 0G folks. If you weren't already streaming Akira Schmid, I think now is the time. He's done exceptionally well so far in his starts, and he came in that game that Hill went down and didn't let a goal in, so that was great. And then also keep an eye on Carter Hart, because there you go. Thanks, Brian. He might get a stream here and there, and Vegas is just looking like a wagon, so they can provide some great value there. And then Mackenzie Blackwood, his return is pretty imminent. We had Scott Wedgwood, another early season 0G hero, provide great value for Colorado. And will we see like a timeshare there, or will Blackwood, retain the starting role? Do either of you guys have a pulse on that?
Ooh, I mean, there's a pulse. I don't know how accurate the pulse is. I think Blackwood will still take over, but I think they might be a little cautious given his injury history.
Yeah, it's a thready pulse at best. I think, Wedgwood has kind of earned himself at least maybe a split till Blackwood gets like truly healthy. I kind of agree with Brian there. I have Wedgwood in the spot, so I think I'll hold on to him until I see Blackwood truly come into form. And they've been kind of mum on this injury. It's weird. Like, they said, well, he's going to miss like a few games, or there was like maybe he will start the season, and then he didn't. He's been out now the first, 3 weeks. So it's like, is this something that's going to be like a nagging injury? He's had injury concerns in the past. So I'll be interested to see what shakes out with that.
Yeah, for sure. That'll be interesting. And then Matthew Schaefer is crushing the start of the season, and he has officially supplanted Tony DeAngelo on the top power play unit. So Tony DeAngelo, his stocks are going way down now without that top power play unit. He's unrosterable now in a lot of fantasy leagues. And Matthew Schaefer, if you were on him early, congrats to you. And he's looking like a real stud. And then we have Corey Perry, who is activated off IR, and he went straight to the front of the net last night on the top power play unit in that 5-forward power play that the LA Kings are loving.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Crazy for Corey Perry. I mean, the Kings will probably make it to the Stanley Cup Final and lose in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, probably. Do you know? Have you seen that? I don't know what it's from, but there's a clip where somebody goes, "You do something bad, straight to jail. You did this, straight to jail. Corey
Yes.
Perry, straight
Yes.
to PP1."
Straight to PP1. Get him
Straight
out
to
there.
net front.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, you love to see that. I mean, back to Matthew Schaefer. I mean, this guy's the best defenseman in the league, man. Hot take.
He looks good.
Have you guys seen like some of the comments like comparing him to Cale Makar? I mean, like watching some of these Islanders game, I know it's a tough watch now. It's not with Schaefer. He skates and passes so crisp, and yeah, it's just exciting that they actually have like a really new young player like that. And with Barzal back, this team actually looks like they have a pulse, as we were talking about. So it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, it certainly is. And then I guess we can move on to the next newsy slide here. We got Chychrun now on PP1 with PLD out, but we are expecting PLD to return soon. What is interesting is Chychrun did score on the power play. And I know that PLD was on that power play, but who knows if Chychrun keeps playing the way he does on the power play and scores like we know he can, maybe he's the one who replaces PLD permanently. So keep your eyes open, your eyes peeled moving forward here. The Ghost is going to ghost the team for at least the next 2 games. He's out for at least the next 2 games, and Keandre Miller has taken over PP1. From what I've seen so far, hasn't really claimed that spot. I don't think he has a power play point on that top power play. He does have a power play point, but that was, I think, the first game of the season. So a little bit of surprise there, but I'd expect when the Ghost Man is back, he'll take over power play 1. Mark Stone, I don't know if you could have guessed. For those of you that are listening, I don't know if you know where I'm going to go with this, but Mark Stone is injured. Shocker. Week to week. We'll see how long that actually turns into, week to week or even longer. But as it stands right now, he is week to week. And as a result, looks like Shea Theodore is back to power play 1. So Theodore owners, breathe a sigh of relief because he's now power play 1 again, at least for the week to week time frame. We don't really know what that is looking like. And then Hannafin is also on IR. So the injuries are starting to stack in Vegas, but fortunately, Eichel is an absolute wagon carrying that team, so their offense doesn't look like it's going to be hurting too badly here. And then lastly, Stefan Nason, he is back. He is playing tonight. I think that the lines that we saw, he was on the 4th line, but we'll see as the game kind of goes on if he gets moved up. For those of you listening, we're recording this as the game is going on, so I'm sure Evan has one eye on the screen there, one eye on you, so don't worry about that. We'll keep you updated.
Yeah, exactly. And with Stefan Nason, the Devils have had 1 power play so far, and he was on power play 2, but they did take off power play 1 right at the midway mark, and that power play 1 with Dougie Hamilton and Dawson Mercer on it, and then power play 2 with Luke Hughes, Timo Meier, and Stefan Nason went on for almost a full minute in that first power play. So they might be turning into more of a split power play team, which fantasy is terrible for fantasy. We just want them to load up that top power play.
They can get Stefan Nason and Dawson Mercer and Cody Glass on the second power play. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Real quick, we'll get into some comments. Armin, need a second opinion. Would you drop Rust or Monahan to add Nichushkin, I believe? If so, would you use high waiver claim or wait until he clears? Same cats as above minus blocks. And he kind of went here. Team A, Will Smith. Team B, Malkin Cats. Goals, assists, power play points, shorthanded points, plus minus shots, hits, but without block. I mean, I personally wouldn't. I would not drop Rust or Monahan to add Nichushkin. Ryan, you?
I don't know if you said Ryan or Brian, so I'll assume you said Brian. I'll jump in on that. I think I would be thinking of maybe moving on from Monahan until I saw last game he finally got a point. I would hold on to both Rust and Monahan because Monahan's deployment, if you were considering one of them, is still really good. His line mates are putting up points. So it was kind of a matter of time before he got onto the scoreboard as well. That's my take.
I agree. I think all these players in this type of league, it sounds like they're all streamable level players. If Nichushkin was dropped, it's probably not greater than a 12-team league, and yeah, like Monahan, Rust, Nichushkin, I think they're all pretty similar. So take it week by week for that.
All right. Well, let's get into our trade targets, gentlemen. Players we want to target for potential trades. And I will start us off with one of my favorites. And Brian, I think he's one of yours as well. Robert Thomas. So he's only got 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points in 6 games. A staggering 25% IPP. He had 80 last year in 70 games. I think people are concerned not just about Robert Thomas, but the Blues in general. Ryan is a Blues hater here with their split power play, but they recently moved into a nice, strong top power play. We'll see if that sticks. They had Holloway, Buchnevich, Kyrou, Rob Tom, and Cam Fowler, but they have nothing to show for it. They're very low scoring, low shot generation team right now. So, but Robert Thomas to me is still a point per game player. I think he's going to get 80 plus points still this season. I think people really forget how good he is, but I think you could get to a concerned manager and really just kind of point out his lack of peripherals and his lack of points, which is really what gets him to be an elite fantasy hockey producer, and really kind of, offer some of these higher producing centers right now. Dylan Strome, Evgeny Malkin. I'd be super interested in moving off of some of them for Robert Thomas if you get anyone to bite on that. Real quick with a comment as well. Stonks traded Timo, Keefe's favorite Meyer, and Matthew Daddy Schaefer for the defensively gifted Evan Bouchard. Did I win? Woo. Without knowing league settings, I would actually I'd probably say Bouchard for the win, but that's tough with the way Schaefer's playing. And I think Meyer, if he can intermittently get on PP1, still going to have some good value, but definitely depending on league settings. Ryan, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. At this point, I would probably do that trade and take Bouchard, but it'd be tough. Like preseason, you'd do that trade in a second. Now Schaefer's making quite the case, but Bouchard just playing with McDavid, Draisaitl, playing on the Oilers. There's so much ceiling, and yeah, I'd make that trade for the ceiling. I do want to just touch on Rob Thomas here. Yes, I was super excited to see that top power play with pretty loaded Cam Fowler, Thomas Buchnevich, Kyrou, and Holloway. But for the first 2 games, Montgomery was still taking them off after the minute mark. So he's still splitting up the power play, even though he's loading the top unit. The second unit's still going out at the minute 05 mark. Except for that last game, they scored a power play goal. It was right around that mark when the power play one was about to come off. Cam Fowler switched for Justin Falk, and then Justin Falk scores the power play goal. So very interesting. I wish that Montgomery would play the top power play for the majority of the time, but it just doesn't seem like that's the case. But I do think Rob Thomas is a good trade target there.
Awesome. Brian, any thoughts on Rob Tom?
I love me some Robo Tom, but no further comments.
All right. Moving on. Ryan, you've got Dustin Wolf.
Yes, sir. He is my trade target this week. He's been just dreadful this season so far, but that makes him a great target right now. I think he was being drafted as the 7th or 8th best goalie. And this is a target just for volume leagues. In standard categories leagues, I'm not trading for Dustin Wolf. He's shown to be inconsistent at times last season, going on super hot streaks and then super bad stretches as well. And I think right now we're just in the middle of a super bad stretch. He has the league worst goals save above expected numbers. But last season he had positive numbers, plus 12 goals saved above expected. And I do think he has tons of talent, should return there. It's a very small sample size with, I believe, 6 games played so far to have the league worst numbers there. And he will get the volume. So this is a pure volume league play. In any points league that doesn't really punish somewhat bad starts a lot, if you still get positive points out of an 875 save percentage, I'd be targeting Dustin Wolf because he's the guy in Calgary. He already has I believe Cooley only had one start so far. And Calgary also has the lowest number of back-to-backs this season, with only 7 remaining. So they only have 7 more back-to-backs in the whole season. Other teams have close to 14, 15. And Wolf did already get a start on one of Calgary's back-to-backs. So it looks like Calgary just wants to trot him out as their guy. They gave him the contract. He's a high upside prospect. So I think 60 starts is a lock for Dustin Wolf, unless this bad stretch really continues and maybe he gets Tristan Jarried. We'll see. But yeah, I'd be happy to trade away like Scott Wedgwood, Stuart Skinner, Joey Daccord, all guys way above Dustin Wolf right now. I'd even trade away like Swayman or Demko. I think Dustin Wolf could finish as the top 6th fantasy goalie in volume leagues, when he's currently ranked 27th. So this is a play where, show him the advanced stats of the goals saved above expected and be like, look, this is the worst goal in the league. I'll take him off your hands. Look at all those negative points. Hand him over.
I like it. Yeah, on the other side, Calgary's going to win at some point, right? They're not going to go 1-81 the rest of the year, and Dustin Wolf is going to be the one in net for that. So I have Dustin Wolf in a couple spots, so I'm happy to hear what you had to say, Ryan. It's looking ugly so far, so I'm going to keep holding them.
All right. Brian, moving on to your target.
Logan Cooley. Yeah, that's who we got. Logan Cooley. Not off to a great start. He's down to 0.5 points per game. Shots are down, but he is still on the top power play. Talent is there, as we know. He's on a loaded second line in Utah with Dylan Guenther and JJ Peterka. There's a couple of things that you really like about Logan Cooley. First of all, he passes the eye test. When he's out there, he looks good. I think the points are going to come, even on the power play, especially. I think Utah's going to have a good power play. Looking at his individual stats, like he's the way he's ranked, the team scores goals when he's on the ice. Simple as that. He just has to be lucky enough to get the puck on his stick before it goes into the net, and you're going to see some points go up. So, I would be really interested in Logan Cooley. I think right now his averaging points is like 0.47 actually, and last year it was just under 0.9. I know he missed some time, but pretty close to a point per game player. But obviously the ceiling is pretty high with Logan Cooley, so I like that. I would be really interested in trading away someone like even a fellow teammate, Nick Schmaltz, for Logan Cooley. There's no way Schmaltz maintains his production so far, or even someone who's not performing either. Some people might be looking to get their hands off of, or I guess who you'd like to get your hands off of, whether that be Monahan or even Fantilli. I prefer Logan Cooley over both of them.
Interesting you bring up Nick Schmaltz, because I in the APL I recently sent a trade thinking like a lot of people are definitely enjoying Schmaltz right now, but knowing that this is just a crazy hot streak. So I'm trying like the reverse sell high but buy high. Like I want Nick Schmaltz because I think people would be like, he was off waivers, they'll be able to trade him away. But I actually really like I think Nick Schmaltz is not going anywhere from power play 1 and top line. So I sent an offer in tier 1 of the APL. I just sent Matvei Michkov for Nick Schmaltz.
Wow.
And it got rejected. He clearly wanted to keep Schmaltz over the real and Michkov. What do you guys think about that? Which one would you prefer right now?
I think in most leagues that trade would go through. I think it's more universally known that Schmaltz is on a heater, and they don't think there's much there. So I feel like that would have gone through in most leagues. So worth a shot. Great try.
Yeah. But so I actually posted a poll in the Discord yesterday being like, I wonder what everyone else thinks. And 78% voted for Michkov and only 22% voted for Schmaltz. Evan, which side would you take?
Yeah, for sure the Michkov one. I saw too much from him last season to be out on him so quickly. I'd hold him there. I know it's tough. I think we know what Nick Schmaltz is. The only bump for him is obviously his early start, but like his role on a team that's getting better with players like Cooley and Guenther and that power play gelling. But my sentiment on Michkov has not changed. I think he's the more talented player and should get more points, but we'll kind of see how that pans out.
Yeah, and Brian, I do like the Logan Cooley for Nick Schmaltz idea too. Like Logan Cooley did secure a power play 1 role too, so I do think he's the more talented guy, and I would definitely prefer him to Nick Schmaltz as well.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
That's
good.
Yeah,
real quick,
just
Brian, do you
real
want to
quick.
get some comments?
Yeah. Oh, that was the one I was going to pull up, and you
go for it.
I pulled it up, and you pulled away or whatever. That's too funny. But yeah, I think this one's kind of interesting. This is from Danny Foran. Would you gents trade Rust for Ehlers in a Bangers Cats league? And Evan, I don't think anyone's asked you a question yet, so I'm going to direct this at you. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely would. Personally, absolute smash. I mean, Rust is going to probably. I mean, I think he bangs a little bit more than what Ehlers would, but that doesn't really matter. They're both top line, top power play. Ehlers is in a better situation. He's a better individual point generator. I take Ehlers all day. Buy low.
And Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, nothing to add there. I'd take Ehlers too. Easy.
Yeah. Not to mention that if there are any trades in Pittsburgh, Russ might get moved, and then his deployment's going to kind of drop a lot. So yeah, Ehlers all day.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll address this next one here. Thoughts on Dan Vladar for the rest of the season. And Frank is also asking, which goalie would you try to trade for? So he's saying that this is a Cats league with wins, goals against average, and saves. So it's an interesting one, which I think it helps to have volume, but also it helps to just be on teams that limit opportunities. Like you don't need the high save percentage, but you do want saves. So Dan Vladar, he's crushing it. He has 3 wins in 4 starts, and he's only let in 2 goals against in each, with 1 goal against in one of them. So he's crushing it for Philly. I don't see that continuing, and I don't see him being their true starter. I think Sam Ersson is still going to be in a timeshare there. And then they have Kolosov down in the minors that they'll probably want to take another look at. So I don't think Vladar will get you, over 50 starts, but ride the wave right now for sure. And in terms of which goalie you should try to trade for in that league, go for Dustin Wolf. Get Dustin Wolf on your team.
There you go. Some great advice there. Moving on, we're going to get into our trade grades. Who got fleeced, who won? We'll kind of get into it here with the first trade. We had Mark Stone and Lane Hudson for Tage Thompson in a ESPN redraft league. Goals are worth 2, assists 1, power play points 0.5, shorthanded points 0.5, shots on goal 0.1, hits 0.1, and blocks 0.5. Interesting one for the first one. Let's get into our grades here. Brian.
All right. Brian's boom gives us 1 boom. Boom. I get too excited about this now. Brian's boom here. I gave it a B+, which means I actually would make this trade. And I know that actually I don't want to spoil it what everyone else is going to say, but I just think you're going to be getting the better player in this trade. You're getting Tage Thompson. And I already know Mark Stone is designated for the IR. Before we found out that he was hurt, going to be out for a little bit, he's going to be for the IR. So the way I look at it, it's realistically like a Tage Thompson for Lane Hudson, and I'm taking Tage all day.
Yeah, like that. And then we got Ryan's ruling.
Yes, Ryan's ruling. I know. I gotta think of something as cool as Brian's boom. That's the coolest thing ever. Yes, Ryan's ruling. This is a C for me. So we're in the range for me where I'm not doing this trade. Anything below a B-, I am not completing this trade. So, and I do want to point out, I'm putting myself in the mind before Mark Stone was officially out. Right now, maybe it's a B-, but I think this trade was submitted before Stone was officially out. But he always had that injury risk, and he was probably going to miss at least 10 games in the season. So there's always that, but still it's a C for me. You're giving away Lane Hudson. You're getting Tage Thompson, but you're also giving away Mark Stone, who has shown that he truly belongs up there with Jack Eichel. He truly belongs on the top power play when he's healthy. He's just feeding Dorofeyev for goals. And I think Mark Stone is, a lot of us were a little down on him preseason. I personally thought that he might get bumped off of power play 1, but that is not the case. As soon as he's back, I think he's going right back on power play 1, and he's been a steal so far. And 3 weeks from now, he'll continue to being a steal. And right now, you could put him on IR, grab someone else. So I think Mark Stone and Lane Hudson are just, Tage Thompson is the best guy, but there's just too much value here. You're giving up.
Fair. I would give this trade a C-, and I kind of agree with basically everything Ryan said. I'm a big Tage Thompson guy, but I just think that when Mark Stone is healthy and you're getting, I would argue like a top 15 D-man. I think a lot of people were concerned about Lane Hudson coming into the season, me included, in terms of like a sophomore slump with the arrival of Noah Dobson, but hasn't really seemed that way. And I don't think Montreal's top power play has really been cooking either for him to get those points. He's gotten a lot of these at even strength. So yeah, I like the Mark Stone, Lane Hudson side of the trade as well. Moving on to our next trade. Brian, why don't you tell us about this trade?
Yeah, so this trade here, you're going to be giving away Landeskog and receiving PLD. Now, it is a points league, so goals are 4, assists are 3, penalty minutes 0.5, power play points 1, shorthanded points 2, shot on goal 0.5, face-off wins 0.15, and hits 0.5, blocks are 1. Again, you'll be giving away Landeskog and you're receiving PLD. And I forget who is up first. I think it might be you, Evan.
Let's see here. We'll get into it. It is Ryan's ruling first.
All right, here's Ryan's ruling. I'm giving this one a B+. I would do this trade. I have not liked what I've seen from Landeskog so far. And PLD, it looks like he belongs on power play 1. So we'll see when he's back. Jacob Chikrin just got on there, blasted one home. So we'll see. But I think PLD does have the inside track on power play 1. For me, this trade is a bunch of streaming level waiver wire type guys at the moment who might be streamer with benefits. So that's why it's not an A for me. It's just like, yeah, I might drop PLD eventually. I probably should drop Gabe Landeskog right now. So I like it, but I'm indifferent. I'd click accept, sure.
Wow, harsh. I still think we can get excited about these waiver level trades, as Ryan puts it. I'm going to give it an A. Yeah, I mean, Landeskog was kind of like a dark horse for people in late rounds, thinking he could get top power play with McKinnon. That's not been the case, and I don't think it's going to be moving forward, even if he does stay healthy. He's not as fleet of foot. He's out there like hitting, and puck retrieval is good, but like he's not getting a ton of opportunities, even on a second line that I think is actually a pretty decent second line with Nichushkin and Brock Nelson. But yeah, I think PLD should be on the top power play. They had him there for the majority of last year, and it kind of worked. I would like it if Chikrin's there. He's the better shot for sure. But then you got to talk about John Carlson instead. So I would give it an A, even though I'm not as excited. I would click accept, but be excited.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the booms, guys, but this one gets a couple booms. I definitely would prefer PLD over Landeskog. Jeez, I forgot his name. That's how much I don't want him on my team right now. I would prefer PLD here. And really, so I'm not regurgitating what you guys said. I pretty much agree with what you said. I think PLD looks good on the top power play right now. He has the top power play. When he comes back, I think he'll come back to that top power play. He had a good season last year. I think we can trust in PLD a little bit more. Landeskog looked good in the playoffs last year, not off to the greatest start, and I don't see him, surpassing PLD in terms of points either. So I'm going for PLD. And I should make it clear, I would accept that trade.
Love that. Next trade, Ryan, why don't you take us away with trade number 3?
Sure thing. Thank you. So we have a points league redraft with 12 teams. It's 2.5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist, 1 for a power play point, 0.1 for a shot, and then 0.3 for a hit, 0.3 for a block, and 0.3 for a penalty minute. And then face-off wins are another bonus at 0.05. So we are giving away Evander Kane, who's just a left wing, and we are receiving our boy Nikolai Ehlers, who's dual eligible left wing, right wing. Yes, sir. So this one, for who's up first? Do we have a ruling, a boom, or Evan? What was?
We're gonna get
Oh, we got an edge.
we got an edge, and we're hitting them with the first A+ of my grade. I know I kind of gave Ryan some slack last week for handing out A+ all over the place. I mean, this is an absolute smash. I think Nick Ehlers is one of the biggest buy lows this season so far, and as an owner in multiple leagues, I can attest. I just think it's kind of like Brian said. He passes the eye test out there. He's gelling well with Jarvis and Aho. He's just not on the end of the passes yet, and he's not getting the majority of the points, although he did get his first assist this last game. So yeah, I'm all about this. I think Evander Kane getting taken off the top power play, and he's great for hits and stuff. I just don't think that the value is going to be there when it comes to Nikolai Ehlers. Could be a 65-70 point guy. And now we get into the booms.
Yeah, still not going to give them, but you guys know the booms are there. Pretty much, I will smash this trade. I would love Ehlers, and I'll add 2 more points to what Evan said. Number 1, the hardest thing to find on the waiver wire is points, like goals, assists, and Ehlers is going to give you a lot more than Evander Kane will. You can pick up streamer for the hits, blocks, penalty minutes, whatever, but Ehlers is definitely the better player here. Not to mention, he's also getting a ton of chances. If you take a look at Ehlers' stat lines over the last couple games, I know he's only had 2 shots or so last game, but he was also shooting the puck a lot, 5 shots, 6 shots a game. So he's getting a ton of chances. They're going to start going in, and then you're going to be laughing because you accepted this trade, and that was even a trade to begin with. So big boom from me, A+ for this trade. Boom.
Let's get to the ruling.
Yeah, I'll bring us down to earth a bit. And although I was handing out a bunch of A+ last week, this one for me, it was almost an A+, but it's an A. I'm definitely smashing this, but I do just want to point out that hits, blocks, and PIMs 0.3 points each. For Evander Kane, he gets a big boost with the penalty minutes here, and as of right now, it's no question Nick Ehlers. But if Evander Kane does get elevated back to that top power play unit, and if he can score at let's say a 30 goal, 50 point pace, I think his periffs with shots, but hits and PIMs for sure will bring him a lot higher than what's in our minds right now. I'm still smashing this trade, but I do just want to bring up the league settings here, and Evander Kane being a gem in this league.
Evander Kane sympathizer over here. I wonder where these 30 goals are coming from, by the way. Philip Hedl out with that concussion did not look good, by the way. And, without somebody adequate centering Evander Kane, I have to wonder where he's going to get those even strength. Perfect.
I will. Yeah, I'll make a ruling on a comment over here as Ryan's ruling is up here. So Logan, he's saying he traded Timo Meier for JT Miller in a points league. What do we think? Oh man, that in my opinion, I'm handing out A+ again. I think it's an A+. What about you? What about you guys?
That trade gets vetoed in my points league.
Yeah, that would definitely get vetoed for sure. Huge
great trade though.
Yeah. Now slip him that $20 too for even suggesting the trade.
Wow, who loves Timo Meier that much?
Yeah, I do want to ask you guys, because it came up last week. Evan, you had a trade that got vetoed. Vetoes are an interesting topic in fantasy hockey. Some people are, super against any vetoes. But sometimes the league is set up that way. So sometimes a league is set up where just if there's enough votes from managers, a trade just gets vetoed. And if those are the rules, those are the rules. But I think in most leagues, it's up to a commissioner to veto a trade if he thinks that there's collusion, which I think if there's collusion, yeah, let's veto that trade. But you should be able to, you should have to try to figure that out with the whole league. But yeah, if you just think the trade is unfair, that's where a lot of people are like, no, that's not up to you. That's not up to the commissioner. What do you guys think about vetoes?
I think a veto should be in play if the trade is egregious. If it's clear cut that if someone is, let's say, newer to fantasy and someone who's making that trade has 10 years of experience and they know what they're doing, I would totally be fine with that trade getting vetoed, because you're kind of exploiting them. Then you're going to ruin their team for that year, and then they're not going to want to do fantasy again. And we want to try to grow the quote unquote grow the sport. We'll call it. So that's my thought. And then the other thing is, I feel like if I've seen this a couple times in the past, that there's players who are in the top 3 and they're trying to make a play for first. And then they put a trade that's out there that is absolutely egregious. And we know it's, a friend of theirs or someone they know who's in last place, who has no chance of winning league, and gives them the farm and they give them nothing in return. So that has to be vetoed, because there's no way that's fair for the competition of the league either.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It depends on the league for sure. Yeah. I think overall I'm a fan of vetoes because it's similar to what Brian said. There's going to be some leagues where you have, like, let's say like 8 managers in a 12-team league that really know the settings, really know what they're doing, but you may get 4 people that get in there and don't really know. So they, one of those savvy managers might try and trade for, one that would be unfair, but like, just based on league settings maybe. So I think it's an interesting point. I think if you got a solid 10 to 12 team league where everyone kind of knows the settings and they're experienced managers, you don't need the vetoes. You can just kind of rely on that. But yeah, I think that's an interesting point to bring up. Bring up some more comments real quick. Harry, I'm thinking about trading Michkov for a bag of Doritos and a Coke. I wouldn't do that. Brian, you want to get into the next comments?
Oh yeah. Actually, no, my screen just froze, so I can't see you guys. So someone else bring it up.
I'll go one more. Jordan, rest of the season, would you take Lindholm or Nichushkin, Bangers, Cats? That's an interesting one to me, and I think I would take Lindholm. I think he's shown that he can be reliable on that top line now with Pasta, and he's kind of doing stuff with it. He had 2 really down years, but he's pretty good in periffs for Bangers, Cats. Ryan, what do you think on that one?
I would go to the other side. I'd take Nichushkin. I think Lindholm is like a pretty safe floor with no ceiling, and you know what you're going to get. I think he's on a bit of a hot streak, and that'll come back down to earth. He's going to get 55 points this season probably. Nichushkin might get the same, if not less, but I think he just has a much higher ceiling, so I'd just prefer to go for the ceiling for the rest of the season here.
Are you accounting for the snow shower in the floor of Nichushkin?
If as long as you can go on the IR plus, if your league allows, leave of absences to go on the IR plus, sure.
Ryan, you want to take the next few comments?
Yeah, sure. So we got another one from Frank in that league with wins, goals against average, and saves. Trade Dylan Strome for Dustin Wolf. So he'd be replacing Strome with Velarde at center. So that's interesting. Gabe Velarde's available on waivers. Dylan Strome is owned. I would actually do this trade. I would trade Dylan Strome for Dustin Wolf because, it sounds like waivers is plentiful with Gabe Velarde there. There's probably a bunch of other centers or a streaming option there. And Dylan Strome, he is what he is. He's probably going to get 70 points, which is great. But I do think Dustin Wolf in that more volume format will finish the league in the top 10 there.
Interesting. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I love Dustin Wolf.
doesn't sound like it.
Sorry. Boom.
All right, let's get into the next trade here. I'll start off with this one. So we're in a 12-man head-to-head Cats league with goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits, and blocks. Trading Arturi Lehkonen for Dougie Hamilton. Let's see who got the first grading here. I was about to give mine, but I think it's actually Ryan's ruling first.
All right. Yeah. Do you want to just go back to the trade real quick?
Arturi Lehkonen for Dougie Hamilton. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. So we got goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits, and blocks. And just a little bit of extra info here. So Eswood submitted this one. He said his decor before this trade was Dahlin, Fox, McAvoy, Jackson Lacombe. And he's trading away Lehkonen, and he's grabbing a 50 in Dougie Hamilton. I give this a B. I would do this trade. I think it's great value. Lehkonen, you're selling high. Dougie Hamilton, you're buying pretty low, and it looks like he's on power play 1 there, which is better than a lot of us actually hoped for. So this is a classic sell high, buy low, and you're getting a lot better value. I think it'll pay off. The reason I have it as a B is because, he's saying he has Darlene, Fox, McAvoy, and Lacombe already, who are all great D options. And if you only have 4 D slots, I personally don't enjoy holding a 5th D to have an extra D on the bench or utility spot. I'd rather use that as a forward slot. So it's just like it's a trade where why are you grabbing an extra D here? Why not trade Lehkonen for a forward? So that's why I have it as a B.
Awesome. Good ruling there, Ryan. I give this an A-. I agree with the sentiment of having the 5th or 6th D. I think that Lehkonen, Colorado kind of concerns me outside of like the known like McKinnon, Nekus, Makar. I think that power play could be rotating very soon. I know that we've seen Victor Olofsson up there. We had Arturi Lehkonen. It wouldn't surprise me if they put Nichushkin on there. They really should. So it's a revolving door. And I think that even the top line, although they like it to have McKinnon with Lehkonen, I think he keeps up with the speed of him and Nekus, but I don't think that'll hold the rest of the season. So I do like him as kind of a sell high now. And Dougie, interestingly enough, again, he's still going to shoot. He's been tried out on that top power play, despite the fact that Keefe said that they're going to kind of rotate it. So I like it. I like getting Dougie Hamilton. I think he'll still be like a 40 to 50 point team with great shots. And to me, honestly, having too many defenseman is a good thing, because then he could maybe flip, a defenseman to somebody else who needs it. So I'd stock up on D-men for that reason alone if you like making trades. And the boom or not.
Yeah, no boom. I gave this a C+, and I'm going to actually be on the other side of the fence here. For one, we don't know how many D slots that this league has, and I'm definitely of the mindset that if you have 3 D slots, I would only draft 3 defensemen. If you have 4 D slots, I'd only draft 3, maybe 4, and open that up to streamers. So I just think having someone on Colorado like Lehkonen is very valuable, especially when he is skating with McKinnon there. He's going to get some points just by being exposed to McKinnon. Whereas Hamilton, he's power play 1 now. That still could change. And you already have a pretty stacked D core already. So for me, it seems like an unnecessary trade. And for that reason, I'm out.
You're out. Wow, that's tough. Interesting ruling there. Let's hit up Armin real quick. Need to drop 1. Clark, Parekh, Zegras, Donato, Fetch, Cats are goals, assists, power play points, shorthanded, plus minus shots, hits, blocks. For me, that's easily going to be Brant Clark. I just don't think that they're going to go to him as a defenseman when Doughty's still there and they're running that 5-forward power play. Brian, thoughts on that one?
I would actually can you pull up the comment again?
Absolutely.
Just want to quickly read through that list again. Yeah, it's Clark, Parekh, Zegras, Donato, Fetch. Honestly, I think this year, if it's a redraft league, I would drop Parekh. I don't actually, he might, if Calgary's power play is still bad, he might take over power play 1. No, I think right now I would drop Parekh. I haven't seen him do anything in terms of fantasy. I like seeing him skate out there, but he hasn't been too involved. So I'd drop Parekh here.
Ryan?
Yeah. I would drop Parekh or Clark. I believe this is actually similar to last week. Yeah, nothing further there. I do want to touch on the New Jersey power play. We had that second power play unit came on instead of the first unit, and within 4 seconds we had Arseny Griciuk score a goal from Timo Meier. Power play 2 seems to be crushing it the last 2 games for the Devils.
You beat me to it. I think you might be the first person to say his name on a fantasy hockey podcast. So congratulations.
I have him to win the Calder at plus 16,000, similar to my Jet Greaves bet. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
And then Armin also asked I think he asked it earlier, who wins between Will Smith and Malkin? Same, I believe he's talking about the same Cats league. I like Will Smith's upside. I'm just not a big Malkin fan. He's off to this hot start like he does pretty much every year, and I don't believe that he's going to kind of hold on to that. He might be the safer play. If Will Smith stays on the top line like he should, And he's been pretty instrumental in the top power play. He's got a lot of shot attempts. I like how he looks out there. Ryan, what do you think?
I agree. I'd take Will Smith over Malkin, and yeah, no, you know, we're aiming for ceiling here. He's up with Celebrini, and it looks like them two have some good chemistry.
All right. Well, it seems we've lost Brian's boom for a second. We'll see if he can get back in here, but we'll move on to the next trade. And
yeah, he's collecting a few booms to share with us.
We'll move on to the next one to give our grades, Ryan. Speaking of Will Smith, we got Will Smith for Sean Monahan in a Cats league with goals, assists, power play points, shorthanded points, plus minus, hits, blocks, and shots on goal. Let's see. Hopefully, I didn't have Brian's boom first. Ryan's ruling.
We got there we go. We have a ruling over here. We have an A to give. We are trading away a center and right wing eligible player for just a center only player. So don't usually like that. But yeah, we're buying low on Sean Monahan. He's just been not involved at all in Columbus's offense so far, but they're still scoring. Marchenko and Voronkov and Monahan are still being great as a line together. It's just Monahan isn't factoring in on a lot of the goals yet. His IPP is super low, and I just find that to be an unsustainable number where we're going to see it increase again. And yeah, I just love Monahan on the top power play with Marchenko and Werenski, and he's on that top line. So I think a lot of upside. I think he can still get 65 plus points and provide some good plus minus compared to Will Smith, which gross. It's in this league, but we're accounting for what's in this league.
Gross. I agree with the grossness there. It's almost like we planned this. So I got Evan's Edge up next. I echo pretty much every sentiment that you have. I give it a B plus. I would make the trade. I think the reason I went B plus instead of A is I am a little bit higher on Will Smith and what he can do this year. But yeah, Monahan's definitely the safer play, and I do think the points will start to come for him. I have this very slight worry that Monahan did get a little bit more of the bump last year from like the Johnny Gaudreau tragedy and emotionally supercharged season. Buying into that narrative slightly, but it's very early. I still think he's top line, top power play. Like I have to see more of that before I actually come to that conclusion, but I think he's in a good spot for sure. And then we'll go, it's Brian's boom. And as we wait for him to get back, I'll do it. Boom, boom. He gets it. He gives this one an A, similar to you. So we can let him touch on this trade if and when he makes it back to us. Looking for more of those booms. Moving on to the next trade. We've got 10-man category league, goals, assists, shorthanded points, shots on goal, hits, blocks, wins, save, and shutouts. This league only has forward, defense, goalies, no winger, center. So the forwards are just kind of lumped into one, which to me, I really don't like those types of leagues. I don't know if you feel the same, Ryan, before we get into the grades.
It depends who you're playing fantasy hockey with. For more hardcore fantasy hockey managers, yeah, give me the center, left wing, right wing with limited flexibility. But I think if you're in a home league with friends who are not so into fantasy hockey, it's an easy thing to do. It's just one less thing for people to worry about if they're not going to put a whole bunch of time and effort into your league.
Fair point. And then I just want to bring up, you get these live takes here. We've got a Minnesota goal. Thank God. Finally, we got Matt Boldy assisted by Joel Erikssonek and Zeev William. Even strength. They can score at even strength, Ryan. Imagine that.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. That would be a combo on the power play too, though. Boldy from Eck and William.
It would be.
That would be just picturing it in my mind. Just the highlight going on. We have Zeev William shooting from the point, it hitting Erikssonek in front of the net, and he's just shoveling it back to Boldy, who snipes it top shelf. There you go. That's what it was.
That's exactly what happened. I'm gonna go watch the replay. I think I forgot to mention the trade that we're talking about in this Cats League. It's Hedman and Nico Hischier for Jack Hughes. So this manager is trading away Hedman and Hischier for Jack Hughes. And we'll get into the trade grades here. Evan's Edge first. I give this one a B minus. I would make this trade because you're getting Jack Hughes. the best player and likely a first rounder. I mean, he's playing like it now with that hat trick the other night. I think he really is due for a large season if he can stay healthy. So you're getting the best player in the trade, no doubt. You're trading away his league mate and Nico Hischier. So I don't know if you think this way, Ryan. I kind of do a little bit, and I know it's maybe not the right way to think, but if you're trading away somebody that's on the same team and getting the same type of points, I can at least stomach if Nico Hischier is, doing well enough, but then Jack Hughes is getting in on it, getting that back in the trade. I don't like losing Hedman. That's why I gave it a B-. I think Hedman's still one of the top tier defensemen in the league. I think it's possible both him and Nico actually take a little bit of a step back from last year. And Jack Hughes takes a step forward if he can stay healthy. But we'll see. I think I would still make this trade because you're getting the better player, but I don't like losing a top-tier defenseman like that. We got Brian's Boom C+. So I'm assuming he would not make this trade, and I think he's just getting in here. Maybe we can get him in. There he is. Boom.
Boom. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Chrome just decided to crash on me. They didn't like the FBI or someone listening and didn't like my trade targets here or anything.
They didn't like your booms.
No, they weren't emphatic enough.
Brian, we were just going over trade grade number 6, giving away Hedman and Hischier to receive Jack Hughes in a 10-man Cats league. I went over my Evans Edge, and then we got to your Boom, which is not really a boom at all.
Yeah, it's really not. I think that's giving away too much to get Jack Hughes. I know Jack Hughes is great. He does a lot, especially for fantasy, but I just think you're giving away too much raw talent as well. I think defense for key one or power play one quarterbacks is still far and few, and you got Hedman there. So I wouldn't do it.
Interesting. All right, let's get into the ruling.
Yeah, Ryan's ruling over here. I give this a B. I think it's definitely a smash. I would make this trade. I would give away Hedman and Hischier to receive Jack Hughes. I didn't fall in love with it because it's not in my A range, but I think you have to do this. You're getting a probable top 10 fantasy player in Jack Hughes, and you're giving away what I would have ranked in like the 30th range of Hedman if all goes well and he gets 65 points. And then you're giving away like a 50 to 75 range player. And yeah, you have to do that. You have to get that top 10 player if you're giving those away. I don't think Hedman is like a top 5 fantasy D-man. And Jack Hughes, although he's ignoring me and not playing more carefully, he might go falling into the boards. I'll take him on my team.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked you gave this a B with your sentiment on Jack Hughes, and he heard you say that. So, yeah, that's interesting. I lean with what Brian said, but I would still make the trade. So I think I'm between both of you guys on this one. And this is our 7th and final trade grade this week. We've got 10-man Cats league with goals, assists, shorthanded point shots on goal, hits, blocks. Same as last one. Only forwards, defensemen, goalies, no wingers, centers broken down into the forwards. They're all lumped together. Giving away Jake Sanderson and Alex Tuck, and then receiving Matt Boldy and Zadorov. Let's see who got the first kick at this one. Brian's Boom.
You know what? Actually, I want to change this. I don't know if I like this. I don't want to give this any booms now. I'm thinking on it, and I'm just thinking blocks are valuable there. And Sanderson and Tuck both block a lot. And I think Zadorov is a streamer at best. So I'm gonna flip this if I possibly can and not give it an A-. I want to give it like a C. I would much rather have Sanderson and Tuck on my team than getting Boldy. I know Boldy's great. He scored tonight. But Zadorov in that package, no thank you.
No booms. Let's see who's next. Ryan's ruling.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I like this trade. I like it more than you guys. I'll give up Sanderson and Tuck, and I'll receive Matt Boldy. We're gonna ignore Zadorov. I think this was like just toss in who you're gonna drop. Zadorov is just a drop here. So it's really Sanderson and Alex Tuck for Matt Boldy, which I think this is a situation where I think Matt Boldy has taken an extra step this season, and I think he is now a solidified top 15 to 20 fantasy player. I think, last season, Nate made a podcast of like players who could hit 100 points. He put Matt Boldy in there. It didn't happen last season. It might not happen this season, but it could. He has that talent, and it's definitely a possibility. So Boldy has the most upside for me. Yes, there's blocks, there's shorthanded points, which Alex Tuck will be great in, but shorthanded points, like they're a little overvalued in a lot of rankings because they're inconsistent. It's just going to happen if he gets 5 shorthanded points. Maybe they both happen and 2 of them happen in 1 week, and it's like 4 weeks where you get in the category. So yeah, where Boldy, he's doing what he does all the time for you. So I like this trade more than you, Brian. Brian, if sorry, did you change it? Did you give it a different grade? Did you decide on a different grade than what you had?
I C+ instead of A-.
All right.
I wouldn't do it.
Well, I'm giving it a B.
Okay. I am going to side with Brian here and go C-. I would not make this trade. I think there's just too much value being given up. I like Matt Boldy. I really like him. But as we've kind of established, Zadorov is just a stream or, a little bit above that maybe in the Cats League like this. But I think Alex Tuck is underrated, and I think Jake Sanderson could very well be a top like 6-7 D-man at year's end. I think you're just giving up too much value here. You're giving up a really good defenseman. I'd like to see this person's team that's making the trade, to be honest, and maybe help me a little bit more in this 2-for-1. But I think that they're just giving up too much for me to make this trade. And then we'll kind of touch on some more of the comments here. Manda says, default Yahoo points league, is Thomas Harley and Luke Hughes a good trade for Dahlin? That's an interesting one. I don't think I would actually make that trade. I like Dahlin quite a bit, but I think that Thomas Harley and Luke Hughes have enough squeeze there as like kind of like upper end defenseman and ceiling that I don't know that I would do that. Ryan, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that as well. Standard default Yahoo points, I don't really know what that is. Because it's usually not what I want to play, but Thomas Harley and Luke Hughes for Dahlin, there's just Thomas Harley and Luke Hughes both have the talent to outperform Dahlin in a given season, and it could happen in the second half of the season by both of these guys. So I just think you'd be giving away too much there.
Yeah, and not to mention like 2 defensemen for another. You're giving away 2 defensemen. You're getting 1 defense, and defense is already a hard enough position to kind of, So I'm kind of in the same boat there. I don't think I'd do that.
Frank is kicking himself for drafting Jordan Kyrou over Sergei Bobrovsky in the mid-8th. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think Jordan Kyrou and the Blues are just, as a whole, not doing well right now. I think him and Holloway are going to get to work eventually, and you'll still get a 60 to 65 point, 30 goal winger, which I'd much rather have over a goalie. Either of you disagree?
Not at all.
0G hashtag.
0G.
Shout out Nate and Blake. Apples and Ginos here. Armin says, do you think the Penguins will make a last dance or make the playoffs? Absolutely not. This hot start dies soon as Justin Brazeau stops lighting the league on fire. Let's keep moving on here. We've got our fantasy hockey court. Ryan, do you want to kick us off? This is kind of your great idea, and but we've got some different positions this time.
Yeah, so yeah, we're at court. We're in the courtroom again. Matvei Michkov was on the stand last week, and now Evan is bringing Josh Morrissey to the stand. Evan is prosecuting him. Evan, what are you prosecuting him for?
Man, there could be multiple charges here, but I think we agreed that I'm going to charge him with misrepresentation of a top fantasy hockey defenseman. Josh Morrissey here, I have him in a spot, and I'm sure a lot of people did, drafting him probably the 3rd or 4th round. He's just not returning the value, and I am concerned with some of his underlyings, not just the points. His ADP on Fantrax was 39. I just don't know if it's worth it. Since 2022, he went from having 76 points to 69 points to 62 points last year, where Winnipeg had a massive year. And, he had 28 power play points in that year in 2022. Then it went to 23 this year. He's got none so far this year. He's got 2 even strength assists. And Winnipeg's been scoring goals, so it's kind of concerning to me. Through 6 games played, he has 7 shots. Again, IPP, exactly the same to Rob Thomas. They're probably talking to each other about it. 25. Shots per 60, 1.69. His average was closer to 4 for his career. I really am concerned about his level of involvement in the offense. I think that especially on their power play, where I thought he was valuable previously, they're working it down low quite a bit with that Gabe Velarde, Mark Scheifele, and Kyle Connor trio. And they kind of like to work around the net. They don't like kicking it back to Morrissey a ton. And he's not shooting. And I don't know where to value him. I definitely valued him as kind of that middle higher end of like that next step after kind of like the Bouchard, Dahlin. I mean, I don't know that he's like equivalent anymore. I think he might just be like a 55 to 60 point D man and not have that ceiling getting back to 70 points again. And if his shots go down, like he doesn't really hit. His hits went from like in the 90s 2 years ago to last year 49. He blocks decent enough, but yeah, I'm not convinced that he's going to return the value this year. And then Ryan, you said you were defending?
I will defend him. Brian will be the judge today. So my friend, you bring up great cases. I actually have a lawyer friend, and he's like, oh yeah, in law we call our enemies friends. So Evan, my friend, you bring up good points. Although we have some points on this end too. We're going to defend Josh Morrissey here. We are 6 games into the season, everyone. So just wanted to remind you of that. Our sample size is super low here. Winnipeg is crushing it on the power play. They are, I believe, 30% success rate on the power play in limited opportunities, and they are 5-1 on the season. They are winning a lot of games. I think they're on a 5-game winning streak after losing the first game. So in my mind, looking at a bunch of his on-ice stats, there's a lot less going on at even strength than normal. There's much less shots for, much less shots against. It seems like nothing's really happening. But there's a lot of goals for, a lot more goals than expected, and just a crazy high shooting percentage as well. Winnipeg's just having a ton of luck and success so far through the 6 games this season, where Josh Morrissey hasn't had to do much. His forwards are generating offense and getting lucky and shooting at a high percentage, and he's enjoying the ride. It's a low IPP, but his assists per 60 is right in line with what he was doing. But he's not being forced to shoot. They're playing with the lead. He's being told, don't shoot the puck unless you have a great scoring opportunity. We don't want to lose that puck. We want to just make sure we're holding on to the puck, not taking any shots, but not letting the other team take any shots, and just hold on to this lead. And I think that's how Winnipeg's been playing in the 6 games. They've been playing with the lead the majority of each game, and they're winning. So I think things will come around for Josh Morrissey as soon as they need to come around, where they're going to start trailing in games. They're going to start losing some games, and Morrissey will start firing the puck, and he'll be probably involved in a bit more offense. So he's not misrepresenting himself as a top D man. He is that top guy in Winnipeg. He's commanding all the top power play time. That will not change. And I do want to point out, you bring up his ADP was, I believe, 39. On the APL, his ADP was 40, which was the 12th defender off the board. So I think if you draft him earlier than that, yes, maybe you're a bit disappointed, but the 12th defender off the board, that's pretty reasonable with my expectations for him moving forward. Right under him in ADP, you had Sergachev, you had Lane Hudson. I think those are great comparables for the rest of the season still. You had Shea Theodore, Seth Jones. Like, none of these guys are returning much better value than I think Josh Morrissey will return. So don't prosecute him. Please. Is this how you lock? Don't do it.
Likely excuses. He needs to take some accountability for his lack of production. Brian, give us the ruling.
Yeah, it's a hard decision here. But side note, I didn't see either of you stand when the honorable Judge Brian walked into court. So, no. Here's the thing, Evan. You brought you got up some great points. Ryan, you brought up some great points. I think that Winnipeg is going to be playing with the lead most of the season, so I think Josh Morrissey's shots will be going down. But that's not to say there will be times where he will be shooting more. He has that dog in him. He is still a top-level defenseman, maybe on the tail end of that. So I will be siding with Ryan in this instance. I still think he has a lot of value. Now, mind you, given his start and the concerns with how good Winnipeg is and not requiring him to be shooting a ton, I think that does drop him down a little bit. So if he's going in 39, 40, he might be right on that tail end. Could return value at the 39 mark, but I think that might be a stretch. So cautiously, I'll side with Ryan.
Not guilty, eh?
We're not guilty.
We're gonna have to see if Ryan as judge is gonna lay down the gavel here and get some guilty verdicts.
All right. So you heard it here, everyone. Brian has, had some mercy for Josh Morrissey, and he is not guilty. I will touch. There's a question here from Armin. He's asked me specifically, Ryan. I do a bit of hockey betting. You can follow me at Fantasy Cheddar on X. I post some bets, but he's asking, have you noticed betting has made perif stats different? Some soggy boys ain't shooting anymore, and some hitters ain't hitting. Armin, yeah, no, I actually think they are getting more accurate, to be honest. If you consider a shot that wouldn't have gone in if it didn't hit the goalie, if you consider that a missed shot, they're getting it right more often. They're just not counting those as shots on goal. If the goalie catches it, but it would have missed the net, that's a missed shot, and they're counting that as a missed shot, and shots are going down, I think, because of it. Hits, yeah, I'm not sure what to make of hits at the moment, but it's not really in the betting markets, so that's definitely not a huge impact. It's on a few books, but it's not heavily bet on. All right, we have some guys we got to keep an eye on. We have a watch list here with some beauties. We have Owen Tippett, Zach Benson, and Leo Carlsson. Brian, you want to take us away on this watch list here?
Why not? Let's do this. So Owen Tippett, we all thought he was going to be playing further down the lineup. Right now, he's on the top line, top power play. He's been ripping it. We know he's a chucker, but the puck's going in the net, and he seems to be rewarded for that. So if Owen Tippett's available, I'd be hopping on that, riding that hot streak while it is hot. I do expect that to drop down a little bit, but while he's hot, ride that. Zach Benson is obviously getting some great deployment. With all the injuries going on in Buffalo, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity there. I would imagine he wasn't drafted, so you could probably pick him up and have him on your team moving forward. And similar to Leo Carlsson, I think he's also getting a lot of opportunity. I think last I checked, he was power play 1. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was power play 1. Yeah, and he's obviously looking good. Anaheim typically has a very good off-night schedule, and that will be the same this year moving forward. So definitely someone you want to keep your eye out for. He shoots the puck, he'll get some points, and we love that for fantasy. So definitely keep your eyes on those 3 guys. If you think there's anyone else that you should be keeping an eye on and we didn't mention, maybe shoot us a message. Send us a message on Discord or throw a message on here.
Yeah. I think briefly on Leo Carlsson, I think maybe it was Nate or Blake. One of them touched on in one of their most recent episodes. He's definitely looking like he could be the guy in Anaheim. He is driving play at an insane rate, and his skating speed and his generation through the neutral zone is drawing a lot of penalties. So he's doing a lot of good stuff there. I think they're kind of running this weird split power play where they're putting a lot of the old heads and like Mikael Granlund, Chris Kreider, and some of them cashed in, but I'd really like to see them run like a younger power play, like the Carter Gauthier, McTavish, Leo Carlsson, combo. I think would make a lot of people happy. Yeah. Any thoughts on the rest of that, gentlemen?
Yeah, just one thing to keep in mind is that I know we typically like to overreact, but it is only week 3 of the fantasy season. So there is a lot that can and will change when it comes to lineup. So keep that in mind, but definitely want to pay attention and be proactive and not reactive.
This is very true. Great sound advice. For everyone that's listening, thank you. Thank you for joining us live with the comments. Thank you for sending your trades into the Discord. Please get in there. Send us your trades. We want them. We need them. We want to grade them. Any other thoughts or comments on what you'd like to see from Trade Talks, please let us know. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Get into the Discord. Get into the Patreon. Continue to smash on the Apples and Ginos, Spotify, YouTube. Brian, any other thoughts?
None from me. And I think with that, we'll wrap it up here. So everyone, that's all we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value and helped you get just a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. Many thanks to Matt Creamer there for supplying the music for the podcast. We appreciate your time. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.